Hey, we ready? All right. Welcome to another episode of RVD Rips Pokemon. As you can see in this video's title, this is going to be a little bit different from my last couple videos. This will be an introduction to this channel, a reset of sorts. Where I'll go into, why I started this channel in the first place, where I wanted to go, a little bit more about myself, and kind of set the framework about what I want to build with this channel, and the community I want to grow, a following, so on and so forth. It's been a little bit, as I said, since my last video. It's about 145 days. So wanting to get back into the content creation game. It's a little bit difficult, obviously very competitive, but I think I have a voice to add to what's going on in the market, and I want to be here for a long time. So the video will be focused for my goals on the channel, formal introduction about myself, my background, where I came from, where I'm trying to go. I think it's really important to set out a framework and goals on anything you want to do. I did not do that in my initial video, so I was kind of just, if you weren't aware of me just from current interactions in the hobby, then you wouldn't know where I'm coming from, or like I was saying from the onset, where I'm trying to go. So I think it's good to have goals and, relay those goals to you guys so you guys know where I'm trying to head, and maybe you guys want to, hop on the ride with me. So my goal for this channel is simple: build a following of like-minded Pokemon individuals, enthusiasts that share my goals, beliefs, and share my journey with you guys and my overall business aspirations, as we look to do this thing full time. So I intend to produce content to the community as much as I can, at least weekly, probably content form like this, videos. Eventually we'll do more or less live streams if it's requested or warranted. I'll look to speak on specific topics if members of the community choose to ask that I do. I have a lot to say. I'm not afraid to speak my mind, as a lot of you know, and I have takes, so to speak, right? So how I'm gonna grow this community, offer free YouTube content to you guys weekly. Try to grow this thing, do channel giveaways, give back to the following or community that I'm trying to form, and whether that be through promotions of sales, products, things like that, giveaways, so on and so forth. I'm trying to do, this is a hobby that more or less is a hobby, but something that I want to be around for the long haul. So being able to grow with people that share my beliefs, and if I can give back in any way, then I'm happy to do so. So I guess, and there's always the why. Why are you doing this? Well, I think I'm at the point now where, and many of you guys know, if you kind of share the same philosophies as me, you're always trying to level up, right? Get to the next level. How can I grow my collection? How can I grow my investment? How can I grow my network? Those are all questions you have to ask yourself. And one of the ways I figured I could do that is through starting a YouTube channel, just being out there more, being more public, and try to just gain that next step. And you hear a lot of other content creators, people that have been around here longer, how can you level up, right? That term leveling up, you hear it pretty frequently, and whether that's, growing distribution or just finding channels to offload some of your product on, so you could in turn turn that into a different portion of your collection or investment. So that's the why. Continue to level up in this hobby. I wholeheartedly believe in the Pokemon brand. I presume many of you guys watching this video do as well. So if there's a way that I can sustain my collection, my investment, my goals, and sustain that for the long haul and do this, hey, that's a win-win. This is anything that you wanted to do. You should have a passion about something that you truly believe in. This is something I do believe in. I enjoy thoroughly. 2025, just to kind of give a little tangent, has been some of the most fun that I've had. People that I've met, the networks that I've created, the friends made along the way. It's been awesome. I have no complaints about how 2025 went. And, you know, although it's a little bit rocky right now, it's been awesome. So I continue to grow that. That's why I'm doing this channel, grow with the people that I share a lot of these ideas with, and see what we can turn this into. So, and really the end game too, you know, not in this maybe jumping, you know, leveling up again after, you know, would be gaining distribution. So if I can do that through this channel, gaining a following, you know, there's tons of examples of that being done before, so why not me, right? And so I'll just quickly give you, you know, and this is maybe something lacking from my previous video that I shouldn't have done. I just expect, you know, a lot of the people I was speaking to kind of know me and have maybe heard some of my stories, so I want to give my background. So I was a Gen 1 kid, grew up with the base 150 Pokemon, started playing Red. I prefer Red over Blue for the Game Boy, and fell in love immediately. I was probably in like second, third grade when it came out, you know. One of the original role-playing games that I played, beat start to finish, you know. And even at that time, you know, those kind of, you know, RPGs can, you know, they could, you know, there's a lot you have to read and kind of interpret, all that kind of stuff. So it helped me read, honestly. It helped me do a lot. And so it's a part of my childhood that I will never forget. Playing the games and sharing that, you know, with my friends, whether you got the link cables, the Game Boy, right? It's, you know, learning the different tricks of the game too, how you could unlock, you know, 99 rare candies, whatever it may be. So I grew up with Pokemon, and one of my childhood best friend actually introduced the card game to me. At the time, he showed me Jungle. There was Jungle Out. He showed me a Scyther. I thought that was like super cool. I was like, damn, that's a cool card. So yeah, that kind of got me hooked into collecting the cards. Had my mom and stuff, you know, parents just get me what they could. Probably like 8, 9, maybe 10 at the time. But I did start collecting pretty heavily then too. All the original base 150, so base, Jungle, Fossil, that was my era, and that's what I was collecting then. And that also got me into not just Pokemon, but TCGs in general. So when I was young, I was able to, you know, I lived in a nice area, California, had a card shop, maybe 10-minute bike ride from my house. Me and my brothers would just get on our bikes after school, go to the card shop, even if we didn't have any money, you know, or didn't have a deck, but there'd be other kids there that we could trade with, so on, right? So that was, you know, it's ingrained in my childhood. Playing card games, Pokemon, TCG, Magic the Gathering, other games, did all that. And so I grew up with Pokemon from a young age. Never left me. It was a big part of my childhood, but I did leave it behind after Fossil. I traded my collection, my sealed, well, not sealed, but all my singles, my binder, sold it to my LGS for store credit. Got a lot of store credit, and it bankrolled me to be able to buy other TCGs and collectibles and stuff there for a while. So although I do regret it in hindsight, at the time I was like, dang, man, these cards, they got me a lot of money. So yeah, so it's something that's been with my childhood. So one of the reasons, and I grew out of Pokemon then, was, you know, they were coming out. I think it was Emerald. A couple other games came out shortly after Yellow. I did get Yellow. Yellow was good, beat all that. You know, I had the Pikachu to start. It was, you know, that game, it had such an impact on me that I didn't want to leave those Pokemon like behind and start a whole new game, and it just didn't feel the same. So I stopped collecting then, sold my collection, got into other card games. Fast forward, you know, my mom sold all of them in a garage sale, and so nothing from my childhood remains. I did pull first edition base set Charizard, which I immediately put in hard cased screw. At the time, they didn't have, like, you know, they had top loaders and stuff, but it was like a screw one where in case. So it was raw right out of the pack that same day. I put it. My friend just happened to have one. He collected sports cards, so he was good with making sure cards were like properly stored, things like that. And then so it was minty. And then my story is I ended up losing. My uncle calls my mom and wants it for my cousin wanted it for his birthday and offered me $100. I was a kid at the time. I was like, okay, yeah. So I ended up selling it. It wasn't something I was actively trying to sell, but he found out that I had one and I ended up getting rid of it. And anyway, the history is that no longer have a first edition base set Charizard. So be it. Such is life, right? But fast forward to 2021. I have kids now. Hadn't thought about Pokemon ever, since what was that? Maybe 2000 or so, late 90s. And my kid wants to get into Pokemon. So yeah, sure, okay. So this was around 2021. So I wasn't in the hobbies necessarily around then, but I do remember trying to get cards for my kids, and it was very difficult to find. And I do remember stores limiting. Like I had no idea, but I was just trying to buy a bunch of packs for my kids one time. They ended up having Chilling Rain check lane blisters for like $5.50, $6 or whatever. And they would only let us buy, it was like one pack per kid. And I was like, this is ridiculous. Maybe it was two. But that's not enough. So I do remember, yeah, my daughter, she ended up pulling Sandaconda VMAX though from one of them, and she was just a regular one, and it made her so happy that she had that, and so that's kind of what brought me slowly back into it. My kids, and we would go to like different collectible stores, thrift shops, things like that, look for like vintage toys. And there was this one store shop not too far from my house that had Pokemon cards, and they had some cool ones. They had a first edition Pidgeot Jungle, and we had like this code, like this promotion code thing where it was like 30% off. So I bought that for her. They had some dollar bin VMAXs from like the evolutions from Evolving Skies, just $1 at the time. Bought those for her. And then she just wanted to keep collecting. So I was like, all right, we'll start doing this more. But if we're going to learn, or if you're going to start collecting, then I would appreciate if you learn the game, the card game to actually play, and that's something we could do together, right? So that's what led into me, I ended up getting TCG Live. We were scanning the code pack, so on and so forth, right? And this was about 2024 when we kind of really started moving up with getting cards in products, playing the TCG. And I remember distinctly buying the first booster box I bought for her was Twilight Masquerade. And it was like $110, $120, like at release, and we ripped it. There was another time where we bought sleeve blisters, Scarlet Violet base, just from a card store. This was early 2024, like I said. They were selling sleeve blisters for $2 a pack. And I was just like, dude, this like why are these prices so cheap? It just didn't make any sense to me. So I'm like, I bought like 20 of them. I'm like, I only paid $40 for 20 packs. Like, this is crazy. Like, I thought they priced it wrong. I don't think they did. I think the market was just super down on SV at the time, but I didn't know, comparatively when I was a kid and I played Magic the Gathering, I always remember paying $5, $6 a pack. So to be paying two whatever, like $2.50 maybe at most, seemed like there was like a price discrepancy there. But anyway, so we bought, I bought Twilight Masquerade, we opened a box, and I was doing that with the SV, or Stellar Crown. We bought a booster box, ripped it. Didn't get great hits or anything, but it was fun, $100. I was like, yeah, every release, buy a booster box. And then took a little break. I was playing the competitive game pretty well. TCG Live, I had a Charizard Pidgeot deck. I did pretty good. I was doing league challenges, Leagues Cup. Best finish was second in a League Cup. They gave me like a half booster box of Temporal Forces. That was a set at the time for advancing that far. Got competitive points right on the Play Pokemon. It was fun, but I took a break. It was just, at the time there wasn't a lot of tournaments. I had to drive far. It was just kind of taxing, and then staying up and with the meta, so many sets came out. Being like staying up with the meta, it's not actually that easy. Like one new set, like Shrouded Fable, can totally change the meta, or Twilight Masquerade, crazy, where your deck that was good, isn't so good anymore. When I need to buy new cards to keep up with it, so I just took a break, and then November 2024 or so came around, and I saw Surging Sparks. And, like I said, we were buying every new set that came out. We'd buy a booster box. It was like 120 bucks. And I didn't check it right on release, but shortly after, and it was like, what, $200 a booster box, something around there. Crazy. So so I was like, whoa, like, this is nuts. Like, what the heck happened in like 3-4 months, right? Things kind of progressed really fast at that point. And I even looked at the singles that I got. Like, I got a bunch of the Charmander, Obsidian Flame, Black Star promos, the ETB promos, and I'm like, man, I was buying these for $5 for like 10-15 bucks now. I'm like, dang. I'm like, I didn't realize Pokemon cards can move that fast up just from a short time ago. So it got me more or less, I was using TCG Player to buy my decks, or buy this, the singles for my decks. So I was pretty familiar with TCG Player, the pricing and things like that. And I was just looking at a lot of these cards. I'm like, okay, well, I can't buy my daughter a booster box, so I'm just going to start buying her singles, right, for Christmas. And just looking at the singles and buying a bunch of them. And even just shortly after I bought them, late November, the prices on them, all those even went up significantly just like a week or two later. There'd be buyouts, right? I was like, man, this is it kind of got me accustomed to the market a little bit. Like I said, I always had a passion for Pokemon ever since I was a kid. Being able to kind of grow up with it and then relive it with my kids was fun. And then if it's something I'm able to do full time, or part time, I guess not necessarily full time, but maybe eventually full time, that'd be cool, right? Then I'm all on board. My kids like it. My family's on board with it. They all like it and enjoy it. And so it's a win-win, So yeah, so that's a little bit, like I said, my background, what my goals are for this channel. This is going to be the first of many episodes. I'm sure I'll become better at this as I go along. But yeah, this is it's been a crazy year. Glad that I can introduce myself to you guys in this form, and I look forward to doing this soon. So yeah, most of my videos will be mostly in the same type of format. Next week, or maybe later this week, I'll just kind of give you an update on how my 2025 went. 2025 was an awesome year. I'm sure it was an awesome year for many of you as well. So I want to, relook at it, just so I can kind of share how my journey went, where I came from, pretty much just out of nowhere, right? You guys know, I just laid out my beginning to you guys. Really started collecting sealed in 2025. I guess I'll end on this. So when I started doing the singles and couldn't find any sealed product, that was a problem. So, I started following some people online, led me over to some different YouTube channels. One of them that a Discord that I joined, and I was, I guess, somewhat aware of them at the time, from when I was playing the trading card game, just because they're all Pokemon content, was Nostalgianomics, and also Rudy from Alpha Investments. I remember, not that I knew what was going on, but there was a Fusion Strike video that Rudy with Alpha Investments made when I was playing the TCG. So this wasn't like but it was like a Pokemon video, so I turned it on, right? And he was entertaining. So I like watching Rudy, even though if I, not having any idea what the hell he's talking about. Talking about Fusion Strike buyouts, like, and I think maybe it had ended on Pokemon Center. At the time, I had no idea what the hell Pokemon Center was. Like, I didn't realize that you wait in a queue, or I don't even think there was queues then, but I was oblivious to that side of like Pokemon Center exclusive. I was still getting my bearings on all the sets and all the Pokemon. Like I said, I left the hobby originally because I didn't want to start learning all these new Pokemons, get an affinity to them, so on and so forth. So the TCG helped me learn a lot of the new Pokemon, Giratina, Lugia, so on, right? I got an affinity for them because of, they were good in the card game. So I'm like, dang, yeah, that's a cool Pokemon, right? They fucking kick my ass in the game all the time. So, anyways, so Rudy made a video about Fusion Strike booster boxes. Like I think they finally had uh, sold out in Pokemon Center, and the price spiked. And he was like, "What do you guys expect to happen?" He's like, it happens every set. It goes on Pokemon Center, right? Once it sells out, the price spikes, right? Like he's like, this is, and he's like, made the video because people are freaking out about it, but it's just par for the course. So I was somewhat aware of the sealed kind of aspect of the hobby, although that's not the reason why I necessarily came in. But when Surging Sparks happened and I wasn't able to find Pokemon cards, or at least sealed Pokemon cards, I had to kind of figure out from the ground up, hey, how am I going to get these cards? How am I going to collect with my kids? I can't just keep buying all the raw price, the raw singles. The prices on all these are spiking. So I had to figure out how to source product, but I didn't want to pay market. I had price memory when I was paying $120 a box, right? Even if that's not what it is now, and it's not necessarily really realistic to get a lot of booster boxes at MSRP. But if I could, then, I'd be happy to pay as an MSRP. So that's when I started to really go towards Targets, Walmarts, right? Trying to figure out, when they stock Pokemon, so I can, make sure I can get enough for my kids to open up the new set, so on and so forth. So it got me over to channels like Nostalgianomics, Rudy, and kind of more or less got me into the sealed investing side. Because like I said, I saw the price of these singles going up pretty crazy, and which was cool, my kid, they're my kid binder, but just even to teach that to her that, hey, you hold on to these, they're collectibles, they have value, they go up. Being able to teach that and share that with my kid, and then, so be able to do that with her, but also at the same time, be able to teach her about, the sealed kind of portion of it, and learn that myself. I found that if you're wanting to grow your collection, which I wanted to do, I had so much fun doing this, I wanted to continue doing it. I didn't want to stop. That collecting and sealed was the safest way to do that. Short term, I guess, somewhat, right? But more or less long term too. So it's, people call it's a different asset class, right? It's an investment. That's how I look at it. I do look at it as an investment, and it's fun. I like doing this rather than, try to scalp off the stock market or day trade. That's doesn't do it for me. And this is something I do believe in. And as I watched enough Rudy episodes, Pokemon is the blue chip when it comes to TCG. So anyways, so wanted to give that. So that's how I kind of got into some of the communities that I'm in, the Nostalgianomics one, and met a lot of the people that I currently communicate and discuss all these areas as well. And yeah, which has just continued me on this path to, get myself more into the different areas of this hobby, whether it's be slabs, vending, grading, all that kind of stuff. It's been a fun journey. 2025 was a crazy year, and 2026 probably is going to be another crazy year. So in my next video, I'll discuss how my 2025 went, how I got started, collecting, where my sealed collection started, how I acquire my products for MSRP, so on, and where I want to continue to grow this my collection and this business as well, and following. So thank you all for being here. It's nice sharing my story with you. It kind of feels like a job interview, just so you know, when you're kind of giving your past and everything. Like, So tell me who you are, Raymond. And anyways, I'm RVD. It's nice meeting you all, and I hope to see you on the next one. Thank you.